Hola, future scholars of America. ¿Cómo estás? That means, how are you? Man, it's been a long time since I've done one of these videos. I felt like I really need to pick up the slack. So, because we have a big assignment coming up in the next, I don't know, however many days, I thought I'd make a video about how to write a persuasive speech because it's a little bit different than the literary analysis essay that we did last semester, or last quarter. So, the first step of this particular essay is to choose a charity because we're talking about persuading me and your fellow classmates to donate to a certain charity. Obviously, pick something you're passionate about because that makes it a lot easier to write. Make sure it's a nonprofit and that's not partnered with like the NFL and that some of your money is going to Tom Brady. I'm going with homelessness because I used to volunteer at a homeless shelter and so I feel kind of personally involved with that. And I did a quick Google search of local homeless nonprofits in Rhode Island because you get 5 points of extra credit if you do a Rhode Island one. And I came up with Crossroads, which is actually the largest homeless services organization in Rhode Island. It helps homeless people find housing, especially families, and it also has a lot of other services like employee and education services and healthcare. Awesome. Step 2. You gotta research your charity. Alright, the best way to do that, go to their website. Like right here. Crossroads, Rhode Island. Look at that. You should start at the About section. You can learn who they are and what they do. They started in 1894. That's kind of cool. They offer 24/7 emergency services. Wow, what a great website. Such nice pictures. And they also, an annual report, that sounds fancy. What's the annual report? Excuse me while it loads. Does this tell me about all the great things that Crossroad does? You better believe it. Oh, look at that. Last year, they helped 1,238 people find housing. That sounds like a good statistic that I'm going to use later on. So as you're gathering your research, you put it all together and say, this is going to come in handy in one of my paragraphs. Moving on to step 3, before you start writing a paragraph about your organization, you need to understand the problem that your organization is trying to address. For me, it's homelessness. For some of you doing ASPCA, it's abused, neglected animals. For those of you doing Susan G. Komen Foundation, it's breast cancer. All right? You can't just assume that your audience knows everything that there is to know about diabetes, homelessness, sexual assault, neglected animals. You have to give us the facts because a lot of these things, people just assume that they know what they're about, but they don't know the statistics and such. So I'm going to find articles and statistics that don't necessarily relate to my charity. And I want credible sources about homelessness in Rhode Island, articles about homelessness, stats about homelessness. Remember, you need all 3 rhetorical devices. So find a story, a stat, and a specialist. So I'm searching the web, and look at that. Providence Journal, is that an authoritative, credible source on all things in Rhode Island? You better believe it is. And it talks about Crossroads, Rhode Island. I bet I can use this in my essay. What else do I got? The Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless. Homelessness statistics, that's perfect. Look at this nice graph. All right, I'm going to use that. So moving on to step 4, write your problem paragraph first. Okay? So mine is going to focus on statistics about homelessness in Rhode Island and how why people are homeless and things of that nature. I'm not going to read the whole paragraph because that takes up a lot of time, but you can feel free to pause this video at any time, read my example paragraph, and see if you can spot the PLE and how do you like them sources that I use. Moving on to step 4. Next, write your solution paragraph, also known as your second body paragraph. The first body paragraph that you wrote tells your audience, hey, this is a big problem, especially in Rhode Island. I bet you're wondering what we can do to help this problem. Well, there's this organization that I know about called Crossroads, Rhode Island, and they do a lot of good stuff. So this paragraph is all about your organization and what they do. Also talk a little bit about the history of the organization, some success stories, things like that. So feel free to pause and read my paragraph and see if you can spot the PLE. Moving on to step 6. Next, write your third body paragraph. So first, you're telling them about this problem, homelessness in our state. Next, you tell us about this awesome organization that can help homelessness and does. And next, you want to tell your audience what you can do to help this problem and help this organization. All right? A lot of you are going to say things like, well, you can donate money, but that's not enough. That doesn't cut it. There's a lot more things that you can do than just, donate money. For example, a lot of people have a negative stigma against homeless people. So you can help raise awareness and let them know that it's just ordinary people like you and me. You can also donate your time. You can pause and read my paragraph whenever you like, but that gives you an idea. Step 7. Next, you write your introduction. Why do you do your body paragraphs before your intro? Because your body paragraphs are the meat of the sandwich, the 3 burgers, and then the intro and the conclusion are the buns. You really need to focus on the meat more than the buns, all right? Buns are nice, but I'm all about that beef, chicken, bacon in the middle. So introduction follows a pretty standard format of hook, background, intro, and thesis. For my hook, I chose the definition of vulnerability, and I talked about what that means in relation to homelessness. Then I transitioned into some really quick background info on Crossroads. Not a whole lot because I spend a whole paragraph doing that later on. Then I have a quick little thesis about what I hope to accomplish today, and you'll notice that I use the pronoun I. But Mr. Barfield, I thought you said that we couldn't use the pronoun I in our formal essays. Well, that's true if you're writing a literary analysis essay about like a short story, but this is different. This is a speech, so you absolutely can and should use the pronoun I, you, me, my, we, because you're the speaker. You're the one giving the speech to a real live audience, okay? It has to be a little bit more familiar and personable than an academic essay. Just don't go overboard. Step 8, conclusion. Now, I did provide a format that you can use for your conclusion that's similar to the format you've used before, but don't feel like you need to stick to it. If you want to get creative and have some fun with either the intro or the conclusion, go for it. This is a speech. It's not an essay, necessarily. If you want to tell a personal story in your conclusion instead of doing like, this is what I told you about, I'm going to restate my argument, then go for it. It's totally up to you. Whatever you think would help seal the deal on your speech and really drive home the point you're trying to make. For me, I went through this basic format. It's okay. It's average, I would say. And then I think you should end with some sort of like, thank you for your time, or like, I hope that you donate today, or just acknowledge the fact that you're a real person talking to other real people. You're not, it's not like a written thing that people are going to read. It's spoken. It's oral. It's different. Step 9, you need to cite your sources on a reference page. If you need help doing this, there's tons of websites out there that can help you, like EasyBib, Purdue OWL, other English teachers that know MLA stuff. You can watch my other video on how to cite things in MLA. I don't need to go through that again. And then I did have a step 10 because I like, when lists are in nice even sets of 10. And lastly, you gotta rehearse. Rehearse your speech. It's different. It's not just like, I printed it out and I'm turning it into Mr. Barfield. No, you gotta get up there and actually deliver it. And so if you're just standing there like reading right off of your paper, like, 1, we're not gonna see your face. 2, no one likes a monotone expression. You're gonna fall asleep. And if people fall asleep during your speech, they're not gonna know who they're supposed to donate to. Come on. I mean, the example I have is Abraham Lincoln. Like, Gettysburg Address, one of the most famous speeches in history. Lord knows he didn't come up with that off the top of his top hat. All right, he rehearsed that sucker for hours and days and time again in front of the mirror, which is what you should do. Remember, you're going to be timed. So if you don't rehearse your speech and you don't time yourself, you're going to stand up there and realize, oh my gosh, my speech is only a minute long. How do I fill 2 more minutes? I don't know. Good luck. Tap dance, whatever. So the more you rehearse, the less awkward you will sound, the less sweaty your hands will be. Maybe. No guarantee. Anyway, so that's my 10 steps of how to write a great persuasive speech. I hope it's been helpful, and I'll talk to you later. If you have any questions, just, stop by and say hi. Bye.